Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we are going to get to that Bitcoin projection from Van Eck, along with some hearings happening with the SEC over the next few weeks, and much, much more. Thank you for jumping into the channel. Appreciate your support. Hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. Let's take a look at prices to start out with things. Bitcoin back above 60,000 again, up 5.42%. Ethereum still struggling, even though it's up 3.62%, sits at 2,364. Solana up 2.62%, sitting at 134. And XRP up 4.52%, sitting at 59 cents. So, moving in the right direction. Hopefully it continues along that path. Let's jump into the prediction here shared by Vivek. $90 billion Van Eck CEO says Bitcoin will hit $350,000. Let's take a listen here.
So about a year ago, I started pounding the table because eventually the Fed is going to start easing here. That's great for gold and that's for Bitcoin. What I said is Bitcoin is growing up and will be eventually half the total market cap of gold. So that's about 350,000. So quite a ways to go from here. The super bulls, if central banks adopt it and it's part of the monetary system, then in the millions, but I don't like to talk about that too much.
What, more than 2 million? More than 3?
Yeah, like 2.9. We've got some model, which is, you have to look at the assumptions.
Right. Well, yeah, there are always big ifs there. Where are you as an ETF guy with all kinds of different ETFs, everything from fixed income to, who knows, staples, consumer cyclicals, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where do you put your personal money right now?
I like longer term trends because I feel like, okay, it'll be a bumpy ride, but I like to have conviction about something that's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. To me, there's no doubt that Bitcoin is becoming adopted the way gold is. I just think it's obvious. Now, I think you have to have your own diversified portfolio, and kind of having a huge overweight to Bitcoin is a personal decision, but I just see that rising. I'll give you another example, India. The Indian economy is the best macro story. Everyone says the stocks are overvalued. I get it, but it's doubtless the Indian equities have done as well as U.S. equities over the last 10 years and will continue to do well. But he was a gold.
So, nice prediction there from Jan Van Eck. Not only does he talk about the short-term price prediction with Bitcoin saying 350,000, but he's also talking eventually in the millions. He didn't want to talk about that too much because he said a lot of things have to happen, but wow, quite a prediction. Let's move on to Eleanor Tourette here, who always puts out great material. She says, new, September is a big month for hearings on Capitol Hill. The Financial Committee just announced for next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and that is tomorrow, the 18th, I believe, entitled Dazed and Confused, Breaking Down the SEC's Politicized Approach to Digital Assets. Witnesses yet to be announced. She goes on to say that Gary Gensler will also be on Capitol Hill over the next few weeks. So give Eleanor a follow. She's always on top of these hearings on Capitol Hill, and it'll be great to see what comes out of there. It looks like they're going to be putting more pressure on the SEC. And we know there's an investigation happening with the SEC. Jim Jordan and a few others are investigating the SEC's hiring practices because they believe Mr. Gary Gensler might be hiring based on political affiliation, which is not allowed. So we'll see what comes of that. Moving on to Mr. Mann, he says, I've already shown you video evidence, but here is the Stellar and Novati announcement for the reserves of the AUDD. That's Australia's digital dollar. And he just shows here in an announcement, which actually shows May 2022, Novati to launch AUD stablecoin leveraging Stellar blockchain. Highlights here, Novati to launch AUD stablecoin, leveraging the open source Stellar blockchain. So, if you're into crypto and you're into Stellar, good news. Good news there for you. Let's again move on to digital asset investor, who does a great job. He quotes, "Ripple's case is over," and he's reposting here from Stuart Alderati, who's on Ripple's legal team. Stewart says, "Ripple's case is over, but the fair notice defense is still alive for others." Now, note, he says the case is over. He does not mean officially, but he believes the case is over. The SEC has a chance to appeal until October 7th, I believe it is. So coming up here pretty quickly, and we'll see whether they decide to appeal or not. My feeling is, again, this is just my guess, just my hunch. I don't think they're going to appeal based on the pressure that's being put on them around hiring practices, around this news, around using the term crypto asset security. I don't believe they're going to appeal. But let's finish with what Stuart Alderati says here. He says Ripple's case is over, but the fair notice defense is still open for others, alive for others. The SEC cites the 2017 DAO report as industry notice that crypto asset securities are subject to U.S. security laws. 7 years later, the SEC apologizes to a federal judge, saying they apologize for using that terminology. They knew it was a made-up term, right? I mean, come on, let's move on from that SEC and do the right thing for the American people. Now, let's move on to Meta Lawman, who also comments on this. He says, "This is incredible. The SEC says it regrets any confusion it may have invited by inventing the term crypto asset security." They invented this term. He goes on to say, "But this was the logical and foreseeable consequence when they embarked on a make it up as you go along enforcement strategy." So, Meta Lawman also on the side there of digital asset investor and Stuart Alderati. And Meta Lawman, I've been following for a while. He definitely knows his stuff. So kudos to him. Now, Black Swan Capitalist says he's right. Rigging the dollar and debt market will only accelerate the shift towards solutions like XRP, where central banks can tokenize and settle their debts, adding additional value to XRP's use case and its price. Get with the program. And here, there's a video with Gregory Mannarino from TradersChoice.net talking about this. So let's give this a listen.
Rigging here of the debt market and the dollar being a unit of debt. We haven't seen anything yet. Now, with regard to that, you know how I operate, people. I tell you exactly what I am doing. Do you see this? I did buy more XRP, added to my position in XRP. I would suggest if you're, look, I'm not telling you guys and girls what to do, but I would suggest that you ponder having some exposure to the cryptocurrency space here. Again, you know how I feel about XRP. I've spoken about it a million times. Rigging here of the debt market.
So, of course, not financial advice. Do your own research. I will tell you that I own some XRP amongst other cryptocurrencies. I think it's obviously a growing financial segment. I believe it's going to be part of the new financial system in a big way. These things take time, but all the news we hear certainly feels like we're headed in that direction. Now, back to the SEC's use of digital asset securities. John Deaton, who represented the XRP holders back in the day, over 70,000 XRP holders, chimes in here. He says, on January 1st, 2021, I filed a writ of mandamus against the SEC, stating that the SEC had violated 75 years of legal precedent by claiming the token itself was a security. I pointed out that orange groves, condos, chinchillas, digital assets, and even beavers had been here. Sorry, I lost my spot here. Marked or sold as an investment contract. But the underlying asset itself had never been considered the security. He says, at Senator Warren, I filed a motion to intervene on behalf of tens of thousands of individual token holders, not crypto billionaires. Regular people's life savings were at stake. 620 of those token holders lived in Massachusetts. Because at Senator Warren sits on the banking committee, which oversees the SEC, and because I represented 627 of her constituents, I reached out to Senator Warren's office. She did nothing. All I asked was for the SEC to honor the law and make clear that the token itself, XRP, was not the security. The lawyers at the SEC not only refused to do so, but they attacked me personally. I was appointed amicus counsel, and after hundreds of hours of pro bono work, Judge Torres, a lifelong Democrat judge appointed by President Obama, agreed with me. During the case, the federal court, SDNY, declared that the lawyers at the SEC lacked faithful allegiance to the law and only cared about winning, not protecting investors. He goes on to say, I fought to protect the individual investors, and I did it for free. The SEC's misconduct and gross overreach caused small investors over $15 billion. On behalf of those 75,000 small investors I represented, we do not accept the SEC's apology. People must be held accountable at the SEC, since at Senator Warren won't do it. When I get to the Senate, I will. It's another example of career politicians like at Senator Warren who failed to do the job they were sent to do. In sum, as a private citizen, I've already done Senator Warren's job. Imagine what I can do when I replace her in the U.S. Senate. And then he goes on to say, and show you can help him by donating to his campaign. So great feedback and words there from lawyer John Deaton. Now let me get back to where we were, and we'll continue to share some news here. So thank you guys for jumping onto the channel. Definitely appreciate your support as we talk about crypto here and the new financial system coming to us. So moving on to Riz here. There was a panel here with a number of folks, and this gentleman says Judge Torres got it right. So take a listen here to this video.
Judge Torres got it right. Judge Torres got it right. There is a fundamental intellectual distinction between an investment contract and the product, that investment contract. And it's not just an academic, it's a practical one because it speaks to the risks of each of those transactions. Just as you all were saying earlier, there is a full-throated disclosure regime that applies to capital raising transactions because there are investor-like risks that come along with those transactions. But at some point, those investor-like risks give way to user-like risks. If you want to invest in Ford, the return on your investment depends on the managerial expertise of Ford Motor Corporation. If you want to buy an F-150, maybe the engine blows up. Those are different transactions. Those are different risks. And I think that Judge Torres' approach in Ripple got it absolutely right. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend, but I think Judge Torres got it absolutely right in that case.
So XRP is not a security. This gentleman agrees with Judge Torres. Good stuff there. I mean, things are moving fast in the world of crypto, and I'm here to help you keep up with that news. So if you're into crypto, if you're into the new financial system and learning about that and hearing the latest news, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button and drop your comments in the comment section. We'll see you on the flip side.